It began with bubbles. Not just a few, but thousands of them, cascading over the edges of my pool like a foamy tidal wave. They spilled onto the deck, spread across the pavement, and began creeping toward my lawn. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating. Maybe I'd left chlorine tablets in too long, or some bizarre chemical reaction was happening. But then I saw it, sudsy streaks leading away from the pool, white residue across the concrete, and the unmistakable shadow on my security camera footage. There she was, in all her glory. Linda Harper, the self-appointed queen of the Maplewood HOA, proudly dumping an entire box of industrial-strength detergent into my pool. She didn't just toss it in. She shook the empty container over the water to make sure every last grain dissolved into what used to be my backyard oasis. Then, as if she hadn't just committed suburban sabotage, she strutted away, shoulders high, like she'd done the neighborhood a favor. I clenched my jaw so tight I thought my teeth might crack. This wasn't the first time Linda had overstepped. But this time, it was personal. She'd been after me for months, even though my house wasn't technically part of the HOA. My real crime: refusing to bow to her ridiculous rules. Wrong shade of patio furniture? Fine. Mailbox not the community standard. Another fine. My lawn too natural because I didn't spray it with chemicals? Yet another violation. But pouring soap into my pool. She'd crossed a line. The doorbell rang, snapping me out of my murderous thoughts. It was Ryan, my best friend, and unfortunately an eyewitness to my morning disaster. He stepped inside, took one look at the foamy catastrophe, and nearly doubled over laughing. "Dude, did you install a hot tub overnight and forget to invite me?" he wheezed, hands on his knees. I glared, then shoved my phone in his face. The security footage was paused on Linda, mid-dump, the detergent box tilted above my pool. Ryan's grin faded into a low whistle. "Oh man, she's really outdone herself this time. I'm about 5 seconds away from turning her yard into a swamp," I muttered. He stroked his chin in fake thought, then leaned in with a mischievous glint. "Tempting, but let's think bigger." "Bigger?" I asked. "HOA meetings today, right?" The thought hit me like a jolt of electricity. That's where she'd be, soaking in her fake authority, dictating her ridiculous demands. She thought she could get away with this because she assumed I wouldn't retaliate. That was her first mistake. By the time Ryan and I walked into the community center, the room was already packed. Neighbors filled rows of folding chairs, their faces split between exhaustion and forced politeness. At the front stood Linda, blonde bob perfectly sprayed in place, clipboard in hand, basking in her reign of control. "As I was saying," she droned, "we must enforce stricter visual standards for our community. There have been too many violations." Her eyes flicked to me with all the subtlety of a siren. Some people believe they are above the rules. I raised my hand. Her sigh echoed across the room. "Yes, Ethan." I stood, holding up my phone. "Would you say dumping industrial-strength detergent into someone's private property qualifies as a violation?" A ripple of murmurs swept through the crowd. For the first time, her smile faltered. Her fingers twitched against the clipboard. "I don't know what you're implying," she said smoothly. "But if you're referring to that incident with your pool, I was merely helping to maintain cleanliness. You should be thanking me." I kept my voice level. "I have security footage of you doing it." Laughter bubbled from the back rows. Linda's expression stiffened. "Security footage can be misleading. Besides, your pool has been a topic of concern for months. Perhaps this is a sign you should redesign it to better fit community standards." Ryan leaned over, whispering, "She's good. Evil, but good." I exhaled sharply. "So just to clarify, you believe pouring soap into my private pool is justified because you don't like how it looks?" Her lips thinned. "I think we should focus on the bigger picture." I turned toward the neighbors. "Raise your hand if you think Linda is full of—" "That's enough," she snapped, slamming her clipboard. "If you have an issue, you may file a complaint through proper channels." Ryan snorted. "Like you actually process anyone's complaints but your own." More laughter broke out. Linda straightened, trying to regain control. "If there's nothing else, let's move on to the next agenda item." I gritted my teeth. Once again, she was getting away with it. But then Ryan leaned close, eyes sparkling with mischief. "You know," he whispered, "if you drain that pool, all that soap's gotta go somewhere." My frown shifted into a grin. Oh, she wanted to play dirty? Fine. I could play dirty too. That night, under the cover of darkness, I stood by my pool, hose in hand. The foamy water gurgled, ready to be released. The hose snaked across my yard, ending right on Linda's meticulously manicured lawn. Ryan crouched beside me, grinning like a madman. "Ready?" he whispered. I smirked. "She'll notice when the sun comes up." The plan was simple. My pool needed draining anyway, thanks to her little stunt. Draining it on my yard would destroy my grass. So why not direct it to the one person responsible? As the first trickles spread into her precious flower beds, I imagined her face in the morning. It was poetic justice. By dawn, chaos erupted. I woke to shouting, shrill, piercing, Linda-level shouting. I staggered to the window, and there she was, standing in the middle of her lawn, arms flailing. Foam blanketed her grass like a winter wonderland gone wrong. It spread onto the sidewalk, even creeping into the neighbors' yards. Kids were already diving into it, laughing and playing. Ryan pounded on my door, breathless with laughter. "Dude, it's worse than we thought." We stepped outside to see the full disaster. Foam clung to fences, flower beds, porches. The entire street looked like a bubble festival. And there was Linda, in the center, shrieking at the top of her lungs. "You!" she screamed, spotting me instantly. She stormed across the street, nearly slipping in the suds. "This is your doing." I put on my best innocent face. My doing? I woke up just like everyone else. "What are you accusing me of? You drained your filthy pool onto my property. Do you know how much damage this will cause?" I raised an eyebrow. "Seems like karma to me." Her face turned crimson. "You're going to pay for this. I'm calling the HOA, the city, the police. This is destruction of property." Linda, I sighed. "I drained my pool. If that water ended up here, well, gravity's funny like that." By the time the city inspector showed up, the scene had escalated. Foam drifted into the road. Parents were snapping photos. Neighbors whispered gleefully. The inspector, a weary man with decades of nonsense under his belt, asked flatly, "Sir, did you drain your pool onto her lawn?" I kept a straight face. "I drained my pool, yes. Where gravity took it afterward isn't exactly in my control." Ryan nearly choked, stifling his laughter. "Technically, there wasn't an ordinance against it." The inspector sighed, promising to file a report, but nothing more. Linda was livid, screaming about coordinated attacks on her property. Then Ryan, fiddling with his phone, grinned wide. "Oh man, you're gonna love this, Ethan." He showed me his screen. My stomach flipped with delight. Property records, water usage reports, city complaints, all pointing to one thing. Linda had been illegally siphoning city water for years to keep her award-winning lawn green. I stepped forward slowly, savoring the moment. "Linda," I drawled, "you wouldn't happen to know anything about illegal water siphoning, would you?" Her face drained of color. "That's ridiculous." The inspector snatched Ryan's phone, brows furrowing. "These are public records," he muttered. "Unauthorized connections, meter readings don't match usage." His jaw tightened. "This is serious." Within minutes, the water department arrived. They dug through her flower beds and found it. An illegal underground pipe rerouted from the city mainline straight to her irrigation system. Years of theft, tens of thousands of dollars in unpaid bills. The neighborhood gasped as the truth unraveled. Her excuses spiraled, from ignorance to blaming her late husband to blaming the previous homeowner. No one bought it. By the end of the day, Linda was officially removed as HOA president, slapped with massive fines, and left standing in her ruined, soap-stained lawn. The empire she'd built on intimidation crumbled in hours. Ryan and I sat on my porch as the sun set, beers in hand, watching officials drive away. "Well," Ryan said, clinking his bottle against mine, "that was an eventful day." I chuckled. "Think she learned her lesson?" He smirked. "Doubt it. But at least she's not bossing anyone around anymore." Across the street, Linda stood alone, arms crossed, glaring at the sudsy remains of her once perfect kingdom. I lifted my beer in a silent toast to karma, and to the best pool revenge in history.